And there's a difference there. I sometimes feel that people mix those things together. That when you ride on a loose rein and you ask for very little, which by the way is a big part of training, don't get me wrong, but I don't classify that as lightness. Lightness to me is when the horse is mentally and physically balanced. He carries the rider in balance, he carries the rider correctly, he carries the rider in a way that it's healthy for him, meaning he gets stronger every time you get on him, you're not using him up, so to speak. He's okay with the cues, he understands them, and he trusts the rider. That's what I call lightness. So when you ask for something, he understands and he responds lightly. He is able and he is willing. Okay? So how are we going to reach that goal? I'm going to walk you through a little bit here. I'm trying to walk you through that process that I like to try to use to reach what I call lightness, riding in lightness. We don't only have about half an hour, so I might not be able to go into big details, but you just have to come to one of the clinics to get those, I guess. So, first one rule of thumb. Rule of thumb that I think applies to pretty much everything. And it goes like this. Speed, direction, exercise. Exercise can also be a gait in this case. Speed, direction, exercise. So, that tells you first we have to get control over the speed. When we have control over the speed, we can have control over the direction. When we have control over speed and direction, we can have control over the gait or the exercise we're riding. Now, when I mention the word speed, what comes, or speed control, what comes to your head? I knew it. Slow down, right? Stopping. Control that horse. Well, if there is no go, then you need no woe. So first is forward before you stop. Okay? So forward is always number one. The other thing I'm going to talk about a lot is resistance. Getting rid of resistance. Making sure that my horse is not resisting my cues, my aids. When I ask for something, I want to get reply, yes sir, how much do you want? I'm okay with it, I understand you, and I trust you. Instead of, when you ask your horse to stop, he's going to be like, do I really have to stop? I don't want to, but I know I have to. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've felt this feeling so many times. You want yours to stop, you pull the reins back a little bit, yes, he stops. But there is an attitude with it. He's going to say, I know there's consequences if I don't, so I'm going to stop, but I really hate it anyway. I don't want that attitude. I want my horse to be totally okay with it. So, that's what I'm going to talk about a lot. So, I'm going to use the rule of thumb that I taught you, speed, direction, exercise, and I'm going to use the other approach, getting rid of resistance, and I'm going to start to work with that, getting rid of resistance from the cues one at a time. So what would be the first cue? Forward, right? I need to make sure that my horse is happy to go forward. If I ask for him to go forward, he goes forward. And he doesn't think about going forward, he does it right away. Slow him down. Forward. Okay? So I want to make sure that I have the horse responding to my forward riding aid. And oh, and oh. Also very important that does not become a nervous reaction. So I want to be able to stop, release my reins, and stand. That's as important as going, obviously. The horse needs to be relaxed about it. So first is forward. What's next? I got him going. What do I have to do next? Say it louder, please. Direction. Speed up. Direction. What does that mean? Turning. Turning comes before stopping. You see, guys, this is the reason that starting young horses is not for less experienced rider, because there is a moment when you get on a young horse where you have to ride forward before you know if he can stop, right? So, I mean, that's not for anybody, I guess. So, I made sure there is no resistance for the driving aid, right? I asked my horse to go forward, he's happy and willing to go forward. If you have a horse that is resisting the forward cue, that's the end of it. You're not going to improve that horse so much more. You gotta get him to go before you can do anything else. I got that, right? He's willing to go forward. Now, I'm gonna get rid of resistance from the reins, one at a time. That means turning. I want to be able to turn this horse left and right, however much I want to, and there is no resistance. How much bend do I want, and I get it. He's totally willing and able to turn and bend as much as I want him to. From one, I'm using one rein at a time here. That's very important. If you can't talk to your horse with one rein, don't even try with two. It's a very good saying that somebody said. I think actually it was Clinton Anderson. Makes a lot of sense. It's one before two. Okay? So I need to make sure that there is no resistance from left rein and right rein, one at a time. This is where I do what I call one rein water. That would be like, it could be a one rein stop, it could be kissing the stirrup, it can just be a simple circle, or everything that includes turning, bending, and one rein at a time. Whether that is on walk, trot, canter. If I ask Morris to turn, he will turn. And now I was getting ready to start to use two reins, both at the time. So, obviously many ways to do this. The way I'm going to approach this is, I'm going to walk my horse forward. I'm going to start to pick up contact. I'm going to slow that walk down. Slow that walk down. What I want to feel when I slow the walk down, it's not an exercise now, you're way ahead of me now. There you go. Is that he softens up on my reins. I touch the reins, I get a soft response. He waits for me, he's soft on the reins. He's not resisting, is he? Forward, loose rein, contact, slow the walk down, he softens up, slide on my reins. There's no resisting here. Forward. If my horse starts to argue the reins, pull against me, brace his neck, lock his pole, I'm not ready to move on. I'm not going to be successful riding exercises. I'm not going to be successful riding gait. Because there is resistance for the cues there. Okay. Got rid of resistance for going forward, or made sure there is no resistance for going forward. There is no resistance going left and right. There is no resistance for both reins at the same time, slowing down from both reins. One more thing I'm going to add to this. Now I'm going to start to mix those things together. See, so far I've been using what I call separated cues. Lag without rein, rein without lag. The only thing my lags have been doing so far is asking him to go forward and making sure he doesn't stop. Now I'm going to mix those things together. So I'm going to do things like lateral work. So if I use a little rein, put my left leg on him, he should go to the right. I need to make sure that there's no resistance for that either. That he's willing and able to go sideways. And he understands the connected cue. The connected cue between my hands and my legs, right? So I use my, he's trying to overbend here a little bit, so I'll block it with my outside rein. So I use my reins and one leg at a time, and he understands, all the way, there we go. He understands and he's accepting it. It's not going against the rein, he's soft on my reins. No matter what I ask for, whether it's left or right, there is no resistance, right? He's not pulling on me, he's going sideways. So I'm starting to mix those cues together. Connection between lag and rein cue, we call this. This is a fundamental thing when it comes to, for example, riding gaits or collecting the horse. When I have those basic things all down, there is no resistance anywhere. My horse understands my cues, he's okay with them, and he trusts me. Then I get to start to mix those things together and make all kinds of things happen. I can do exercises like shoulder in. I can start to ride gaits. I can do turn on the haunches. It's just a matter of how I mix those gaits together. Haunches in. Or another cue or exercise that is pretty important to me. It's the backup. Here I want to make sure there's no resistance either. Not pulling on my rein, not bracing against. For me, in the backup, there was a little brace there. There you go, good boy. It's extremely important that this exercise comes from a connected cue. I'm using my reins, my legs, and my seat. I don't back my horse up from rein alone, ever. It has to be a connected cue. If I teach my horse to back up from rein alone, he's gonna run into that exercise from time to time when you don't want it. Maybe I just want him to stop and bend to the pole or something around his neck. If he knows how to back up from rain alone, he's going to be running backwards before you know. It's totally annoying. All right. Now, let's get ready for some gait here. This is supposed to be a gaited horse training, right? Guess I gotta have to write something else than walk. I do a lot of training in walk, because walk and a 4-beat gait are obviously extremely related. Now, I'm going to try to make sure this horse is connected. I want to make sure I have him connected between my hands and my legs. Connected before I start to ride the gait. I don't want to lift his nose up. I don't want to just yank him around. I want to get him in between my eights. So that is rein contact, leg contact, and I drive my horse towards the bit. There he gets up. Now the horse is getting connected. Probably actually getting a little bit collected too. When I get him connected, meaning he is connected between hands and legs, collection is right around the corner. I just drive a little bit more. No resistance, he's soft in between my eights. When I can ride my horse in between my eights on walk, that's when I'm ready to go into a gait. And I try to keep that same softness and lightness. I'm still talking to him between my hands and my legs. I'm reminding him that he should be connected. I'm reminding him to stay somewhat round enough that he can be soft. And sometimes do a little left and right movements just to make sure the neck doesn't get bracing, it doesn't get stiff and bracing against me. I drive him enough from the hind end that he stays connected from there. So it's a connected cue. I'm riding a horse in between my hands and my legs. And then I just use those cues. See, to me, training a horse is a lot about is training the respond to the cues. It's much more about that than it is riding the exercises. For example, for riding tilt, the most important thing of all is the transition. That the horse is good at this part and this part. Going into it and out of it. If it's anything that every riding instructor in the world is going to agree on, that's probably that transitions are one of the most important things, right? If you take any kinds of lessons, I'm sure you've heard this 10,000 times. Transitions, transitions, transitions. What we have a tendency to do is to get into the exercise or the gait and just ride it. It's obviously something we want to be able to do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way to improve it. Let me play with it. We change directions. Make sure the horse is soft to the left. He's soft to the right. I change gaits. He pulled against me a little bit. Bent him a little bit more then. And oh. And oh. Get back. Get ready for gait again. Get him a little bit in between my eights. There we go. When I have the horse willing and able to listen to and answering all my cues without having any resistance, there is no limit to what we can do. He just needs to understand it. It's also important to understand that these aids we are using, the reins and the legs, this is all taught. There's nothing in the manual the horse gets when he's born that tells him that somebody pulls you in the mouth, you should stop. That's not how it works. We teach the horse this. We obviously put a bit in the furthest forward part of the horse's face because that's an easier place to maneuver, and then he follows his nose, right? We can teach him anything we want, really, if you know how to, and if the horse trusts you enough. So, I've been playing around with this a little bit, and this I think has helped me a lot in training and helped me to become more aware of really my seat, how accurate it has to be. It is unbelievable how sensitive horses are to your seat, where you change your weight left to right or front or back. Horses are extremely sensitive. An old respected trainer in Iceland was one asked, how sensitive are horses? By some journalist or something. He said, well, they can feel a fly land on their butt. That's how sensitive they are. So if we are consistent with our aids, we can get the horse to respond to the slightest thing, very little thing. We don't need a bit to muscle them around, and leave alone a strong bit. Obviously different bits can be helpful, and they can be very important part of the training. But we should never look at the bit as a power brake or some kind of power steering. It's a way to get a message to the horse. And then we start thinking, maybe there's other ways to get a message to him. Maybe I don't need that bit. If I'm maybe more consistent, and if I have my horse more willing and more able, physically, mentally,